Hello again. I watched a fascinating event yesterday. It wasn't a general election. That was far from fascinating. In the morning, I released a video in which I drew attention to a woman who writes for New Scientist magazine and has recently written a book which claims that racism is, and I quote, the most dangerous public health threat in Britain. This struck me as being improbable in the extreme. The woman in question, liable, gave a long interview expounding this view, which was released on the New Scientist's YouTube channel. The comments made beneath the video were sceptical, as well they might be. My own video examined in detail the first claim made in Liverpool's interview, which related to the fact that 4 times as many black women in Britain died during pregnancy or childbirth as white women. I advanced an alternative explanation for this, which did not invoke systemic racism as the cause, and I provided a link to the video on the New Scientist channel so that people could check for themselves that I was not misquoting Liverpool. During the morning, after I released my video, the comments on that video on the New Scientist channel showing the interview with Liverpool increased. There were more and more of them. I read them all, curious to see if anybody was going to be rude or show any racism towards Liverpool, but nobody did at all. The worst comment was that somebody said that her ideas were laughable. Then the comments were switched off and all the comments vanished entirely. It's now impossible to comment on that video. I found this an extraordinary development. If somebody advances a controversial idea, one which runs counter to what most people believe or think reasonable, then of course a lot of people will disagree and explain why they disagree. So it was when Julian Assange was released, I made a video in which I suggested that he had largely himself alone to blame for his misfortunes. To say that this was not a popular opinion, or one widely shared by the people who watch this channel, would be to understate the case greatly. The comments there were pretty hostile towards the view I expressed, and a lot of people were put out at what I had said, and were forceful in stating this case in the comments here. Quite right too. That's what you call debate and free speech. All those comments are still there. Imagine though for a moment if I had deleted all those comments and then switched off the ability to make any further comments. What would it have told viewers? I think that it might have indicated that I was not prepared to countenance any views contrary to my own, and also that I was afraid that people might demonstrate that my own view of the matter was ill-informed and mistaken. When this happened on the New Scientist channel, though, that wasn't the reason at all that the comments were turned off. It rather tied in with a very modern idea, which is that the very act of disagreeing strongly with a woman has more than a hint of misogyny about it if it is a man who is disagreeing with her. Despite the struggle for equality, it's felt vaguely that women have to be treated differently during the rough and tumble of a vigorous discussion, and that if matters become too heated, then it's permissible to blow the whistle and call a halt to the debate before anybody gets upset. When the woman is also black, and those disagreeing strongly are white, then the unspoken suspicion is in the air that if the arguments are pressed too firmly, then this looks like racism. It was for this reason that the New Scientist turned off the comments on the interview with Liverpool. I do not believe for a moment that she herself would have wanted that to happen. She is a very good writer, and I usually enjoy her pieces in New Scientist, although I don't always agree with what she says. This is rather a case of some white liberal New Scientist who feels that he must spring to the defence of a black woman and protect her from being exposed to disagreeable views and sharp criticism of her ideas. In other words, this is a classic case of a white knight who feels that a black woman cannot stick up for herself and needs somebody to fight on her behalf. There is something delicious about such a thing happening, and it shows an appallingly patronising attitude on the part of whoever runs New Scientist's YouTube channel. It reveals, too, how science in the modern world is not about free inquiry or lively debate anymore, which is perhaps a subject for another video at a later date.